Pooh and his pals lived in the 100-acre wood. Christopher used to bring them food regularly until he went away to college. Without his help, the animals began to go hungry. Desperate, they ventured out and started harming people. Somehow, Christopher managed to escape their attacks. However, he was wrongly accused of causing the deaths of several girls in the woods, as no animal evidence was found. Subsequently, humans entered the forest and set it ablaze, leading to the death of all the animals. Winnie the Pooh and his friends had hidden away, so no evidence of them was discovered by the humans, who blamed Christopher for everything. The police are still investigating Christopher's account. A week later, 3 girls were calling for the ghost in their car when suddenly the car jolted. The girls were very scared, and one of them approached the door. Suddenly, a creature stabbed another girl from behind, signed, and killed her. At that moment, an owl arrived and injured one of the girls. Then Winnie the Pooh also appeared. He turned their car around and threw it into the pond. One girl managed to escape from there. She tried to run away, but Pooh approached her, injured her arms and legs, and then silenced her before killing her instantly. One girl was still alive, but Owl came and ended her life right there. On the flip side of the story, we find Christopher, haunted by nightmares from the first film. He visits his hypnotherapist, Samantha, and confesses he's still plagued by terrifying dreams. She reassures him and advises relaxation. Later, Christopher confides in his girlfriend about being labeled a murderer, but she assures him people will soon forget. After dropping Christopher home, his friend Frank informs him someone has vandalized his father's car with murderer. Christopher apologizes to his father, who wholeheartedly trusts him. Yet Christopher remains deeply disturbed. On the opposite side of the forest, certain hunters aware of the animals' presence set out to hunt them down. Inside a tree cave, Owl confronts Pooh, blaming humans for destroying their habitats and now hunting them with guns. Owl holds Christopher responsible for forcing them into hiding. They decide they must venture into the jungle and even the city for vengeance against Christopher. As Pooh contemplates this, the hunters close in. One of them attacks Piglet, fatally shooting him. Pooh intervenes, killing one hunter and systematically eliminating the others. However, one wounded hunter escapes towards the city. On the other hand, Christopher was tending to a child at the hospital when his boss contacted him, informing him about rumors circulating in the city. Until the accusations against him were disproven, Christopher was unable to continue working at the hospital. Christopher calmly responded, "No issue," and departed. Meanwhile, an injured hunter was admitted, and the nurse suggested he had been attacked by jungle animals, at least from appearances. Christopher pondered this situation before heading home. A man was showing birds to his son in the forest. The child was quite happy until he saw an owl and got scared, running away. The owl then took his father and started cutting pieces of his body, throwing them into the water. Then Pooh and the owl both watched his body float in the river from the bridge. Christopher then went to his therapist, Samantha, again. This time Samantha was hypnotizing Christopher so that he could remember his childhood. Under hypnosis, she asked him to recall the incident from his childhood that affected him the most. Christopher remembered playing hide and seek in the forest with his brother Billy and other children. Billy was hiding in a car when a man kidnapped him. Christopher had seen that man too. Christopher remembered this and got scared, saying he saw a man taking his brother away in front of him, but he couldn't do anything and thinks it's his fault. Samantha told him not to blame himself because he was just a child back then. Meanwhile, the police found Pooh's cave and entered it, where they discovered not only pieces of bodies but also some corpses. Then Tigger came and started killing all of them one by one in the most terrifying way possible. Christopher went home and told Kate about the kidnapping of his brother Billy, which he remembered during the therapy session. Later, Christopher was reading about the case of the missing children and found out that 7 other children like Billy had been kidnapped and given to a scientist named Arthur, who was experimenting on them, but all the children were killed. The next day, an officer came to meet Christopher. He informed him that animals and people were being killed in the jungle, including his team who was searching for them. Christopher told him to take care of himself and that he would find out more about this. Christopher came back and went to a club with Danny and Frank, where preparations for a party were underway. But a girl there said that Christopher's presence wouldn't go well with the people there because everyone in the city considers him a murderer, so Christopher left. Later, Christopher met an injured man in the hospital and asked him if the people who attacked him looked like animals. The man wrote and confirmed that he was correct. At that moment, Christopher saw Jack outside, watching him. Christopher remembered that Jack had kidnapped his brother Billy in childhood and went outside, but by then Jack had disappeared. Meanwhile, Frank was taking a bath when he found a note outside the house, which led him to follow it and go outside. On the other side, Owl came and killed Frank, then threw acid on his face, completely disfiguring it. Meanwhile, Christopher followed Jack to his house and confronted him. Jack was quite scared, and Christopher asked why he had kidnapped his brother. Jack apologized to Christopher and said he kidnapped the children for Arthur, who paid him for it. Arthur experimented on the children by injecting genes of different animals into their bodies, giving them the regeneration factor so they never die. However, all those experiments failed, and the children died due to mutations. Then Arthur, along with Jack, released those children into the jungle. After a few days, the regeneration mutation started working, and they emerged as half human and half animal. Jack said all of this happened because of him and then took his own life. Christopher was terrified by this revelation. Meanwhile, Danny was putting Ran to sleep when she heard a voice outside. It was her father calling on the phone. Danny and Ran hid, placing a camera to look around. They noticed Pooh in the house, who had broken the camera and was searching for them. Both of them escaped from the other side and met officers outside, informing them about Pooh. The officers went inside and Pooh attacked and killed one of them. His screams were heard outside, and Danny also heard them. On the other hand, Christopher was reading reports from Arthur's house and discovered that Pooh, Piglet, and the other animals were all children Arthur had experimented on. These experiments caused changes in their bodies. Even after dying, they came back to life, and Billy was actually Winnie the Pooh after the mutation. Then Christopher received a call from Danny, who said that Pooh had attacked their house. Danny told him that Pooh knew about her, that she was Christopher's girlfriend. He also killed Frank, and he might know about Christopher's family too. Meanwhile, Pooh arrived at Christopher's house. Inside, Alan, Lexi, and Kate were busy with their work. Then Kate felt someone near her. She turned around and saw Pooh. She ran to grab a knife, but Pooh caught her from behind and stabbed her in the mouth, killing her. Lexi and Alan came downstairs, and Lexi heard Alan's screams. Then Pooh appeared in front of her. After a while, Pooh went to Christopher's room and started looking through his pants and toys. A few hours later, Christopher reached his house, but by then everyone was already dead. He was heartbroken and in tears. He took a photo of Billy and left with it. Meanwhile, a party was going on in a place in the city. Pooh entered and killed a boy. Then he went inside and started brutally killing all the young teenagers at the party one by one. Christopher learned about the rampage at the club on the radio, where Pooh and Tigger had appeared and started killing everyone by cutting their heads off. A girl was shown hiding, and Tigger came to her, cut her foot with his claws, and drank all her blood. Meanwhile, Christopher arrived at the scene with a gun. A girl told him that Pooh might have gone in the opposite direction. Just then, Tigger appeared in front of Christopher, who shot him, injuring him and causing him to flee. On the other side, Pooh continued his killing spree. A boy hiding near the generator was found by Pooh, who increased the temperature, killing him. Then, Pooh began cutting a girl's head with a saw. Meanwhile, Christopher was running back on the back road when Pooh came forward with a chainsaw, ready to fight. Pooh injured Christopher, and they both fled into the jungle. They reached a point where Pooh was about to kill Christopher. Then, Pooh remembered it was the same place where he was left as a child. After Arthur's mutation, he had emerged from there, and memories of his childhood started coming back to him. Christopher said, "You are my brother Billy. Forgive me for not being able to save you." Pooh was about to kill Christopher when Danny arrived, and Pooh turned the chainsaw toward her. Just then, Christopher came from behind and cut off Pooh's head. Christopher and Danny were devastated by what had happened. They met with the police outside, and the officer informed them that Christopher's sister Lexi was safe. Lexi came and reunited with Christopher. He was relieved to be with his sister Lexi and Danny, and they all managed to escape safely. Due to the footage of the animals in the city, the police realized that Christopher hadn't done anything wrong, so he was acquitted and released. So that's the end of our movie. This is it for today. I will reconnect with you with another story like this. Until then, this is your host for Movie Recap Vision signing off. Don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications to catch more videos like this. Thank you for watching.